We're thanking the fans. I thought the atmosphere was great. I knew right when I came out of the tunnel, I looked up in the rafters and it was packed. I knew that Auburn was going to be in for a tough time from the crowd standpoint, and a team that had not played on the road, which is tough to do in the SEC. I thought our crowd impacted the game. I thought our guys came out with a game plan of strike and attack. We really wanted to be physical. We wanted to win the line of scrimmage. We thought it would pay dividends in the fourth quarter. In the second half, being a somewhat hot day, and I thought it took its toll on their team in the second half for our team to be able to run the ball the way they did. So that helped us. We continue to grow and get better. This team has proven that it's resilient and tough, but we got a lot of things that we can clean up, and we didn't play as well as we could have. But I want to say I'm very proud of the way our team went after it, and they struck and they attacked. With that, I'll open it up.
How satisfying was the run game today, Coach?
It was good. I mean, I still think there's inconsistencies. There's things we miss on, We miss a couple. We miss a block here. A guy runs through. A couple times backs just made people miss. We had a 3rd and 2 that we didn't touch anybody, and Dejan made 2 people miss. But it was much better at the line of scrimmage. We played more physical at the line of scrimmage, and I thought that we wore the other team down, which, the environment was a little different too. It's just the heat wears on defensive linemen, and some teams have more they can use and some teams don't.
Speaking of the run game, how huge was Dejan Edwards' game today, especially with Kendall banged up?
I thought he did a great job. He does a really good job around the goal line, making people miss. He's elusive, but not so much explosive. He does a great job. Probably not going to break off a super long run, but he gets a lot of positive runs. It's really hard to get him for a tackle for a loss. And Branson, the addition of Branson was really big for us. He was a guy that we felt like all week we had to get more opportunities for him because he's run the ball really well in practice. He gives us a little bit of a burst, and he was able to get some carries with Kendall dinged up, and I thought he did a nice job.
You mentioned the heat and the impact that had in the second half. What's it say that Jamon Dumas-Johnson was able to play as much as he did, especially with no Schmel, no Tresman today, and deliver the kind of performance he did?
Yeah, he works really hard. He was dinged up during the week. He missed, I want to say Monday, Tuesday, and he was able to go Wednesday, Thursday, and conditioned, ran hard. He runs extra after practice so that he can play more snaps, and was really proud of the guys that stepped up there and played. Sorey got significant playing time today for the first time, non-third down, and Ryan Davis had to step up and play because we got some dinged up guys, some injuries.
What was your reaction to Stetson's 64-yard run touchdown?
I was happy for him. It was a great call by Monk, and it was a good designed play, and they were in what we thought they were going to be in, and it worked great. But it wouldn't have been explosive if it wasn't for a really good athlete. It proves again that he's multidimensional. He's hard to defend because of the things he can do.
What was Malachi's mentality coming in this game? Obviously, he lost a friend in the last several days,
Yeah.
but he played hard up there. Was that a bit of a distraction this week?
You'd probably have to ask Malachi that because I don't know. We did talk to him about it, and he was very close, and thoughts and prayers with his family. But Malachi's parents reached out and let us know that he was close to him, and Malachi handled it very maturely and did his job today.
Kirby, 2 special teams plays in that first half with Nolan sniffing out the fake and then Ladd's return. Just how big were those, and how big was Ladd's return coming off that muff earlier in the quarter?
Yeah, it was great. Ladd's been really aggressive. Really proud of Ladd. I don't know what Auburn was in punt cover or negating punt returns, but somebody had told me they were 1 in the country, probably 1 in the conference at negating punt returns because of the way their kicker kicks it. And we worked really hard this week on saying we could spark a drive. We could change field position by who we put on punt return. And I think Ladd be the first to tell you we give a lot of credit to the guys up front who affected the kicker by almost blocking one, which speeds it up. The sooner he kicks it, the sooner he gets to Ladd. And they're elite at holding the ball and not giving up returns. They probably had us on the fake. Nolan made a great play. But, again, it was one of those times where they didn't execute, but they had a good look and they checked to it. And kudos to them, but kudos to Nolan for stepping out. That was a huge play in the game.
Kirby, a couple of your players referenced that for some reason things are going wrong offensively early. Things need to be cleaned up. Maybe even pressing early, but not pressing late. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that about.
I don't know. I can't define it if somebody's pressing. Certainly not clicking the way we'd like to. Some of that falls on a little responsibility on everybody. We take turns having lack of execution. And when you play really good teams that score lots of points, you can't do that. You got to value every possession. And we didn't click. When we click, we roll. And then if we don't get started, we tend to dry out. We had several 3-and-outs where it was like, was that a wasted opportunity? You know, like we got to get first downs, change the field position, be explosive. And you know, some of that has to do with some injuries and some guys being dinged up. But some of that has to do with Stetson. He knows he's got to continue to play and play better. And we got to arm Stetson with people around him. You know, he's got to have guys around him that can really help him. You can't be one-dimensional and be explosive.
Any indication with him of his injury?
It's growing. He said that he got tackled and the guy fell on him and stretched his groin out and it bothered him. I don't know, you know, how severe or anything.
42-10 victory, what area of the game do you think you need to improve on moving on?
Everything. Like, what does the score have to do with how we played? It really doesn't to me. I mean, you look at the stat line, you say, oh, we ran the ball great. And I think there's a lot of times that we didn't block it right. We got whipped at the point of attack. There's other times that we did it right, you know, and that's across the board defensively. What we talked about was containing the quarterback. Well, we didn't exactly do that all the time. You know, he got out of there. So there's an immense amount of improvement that needs to happen for our team to get to the level we need to. You know, and I think, you know, everybody has this perception of what your ranking is and what the experts say you should beat somebody by. I keep saying it over and over. You know, we don't get caught up in that. We have to get better. We got a really tough schedule coming up, and we got to get better. And the only way you get better is practice. So we're going to keep doing that, and we're going to keep trying to get rhythm and get better.
Coach, I'm interested in how much freedom you allow older players in your system, like a guy like Nolan Smith. It looked like on a 3rd and 1 right there, it didn't stretch to you. It looked like he kind of jumped inside a gap, maybe it made it TFL, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, there's not freedom. We don't say, hey, you have the freedom to do what you want. You play within the system, but there are overreach and overstretch. They're a stretch team, so when teams give you that angle, a natural good athlete can beat it underneath. Now, we're also breaking the pocket to get him out of there on one of those plays you're talking about. It was 3rd and long, and he beat a guy underneath, but he was trying to break the pocket to get the quarterback out to get the scramble guy to go tackle him.
Kirby, isn't this just all inexperienced on? I mean, 15 draftees, 13 transfers, your depth is real green. Isn't that kind of what we're seeing as inexperienced guys doing it the first time?
I don't think that's an excuse. Like, what does that matter? Like the players we got, we should be good. I'm not apologizing for winning 42-10. What I'm saying is we got to get better. And the monster that's created that you got to live up to this expectation and you got to score every drive, that was created by going out against Oregon and having a great opening. That doesn't control how we look at things. I just celebrated in a locker room with a group of kids that are 18 to 22 years old that just beat Auburn for a consecutive some number of times. I'm proud of them. I'm happy for them. But I'm also realistic that we got to continue to grow and we got to continue to get better. It's not about the age of your players. Every team in college football is young. That's just the way it is.
Coach, second half starts and Stetson gets sacked, fumble, defense comes out there, has to defend from the 19-yard line. How big was that series right there, holding the field goal?
Oh, it was huge.
Go down and score on a long drive.
Yeah, it was huge. Disappointed in the start of the second half. I mean, that was the big talk in the locker room is what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? How are we going to execute? What kind of juice are we going to come out with? And, you know, again, it feels like there's these times, and it's not just us. Felt that way Kent State. It feels like teams are tired in the second half. Not just us, the opponent. And it just at times seems lethargic, where you really didn't have those lulls last week. It was cool, it was night, there was energy, you know, and hey, we didn't play great, but there was energy, you know, and there was people running fast. As much as anything I've seen in the last 3 or 4 games is conditioning level of teams. Because I don't know, the temperature didn't seem hot, but it was hot out there, it was sunny.
With Jalen Carter out, you obviously put in Warren Brinson and Peter Alexander on passing downs. What was it about them that makes them pass rushing specialists compared to the other defensive teams?
Well, they better be run specialists because we don't have enough of those, okay? You don't get labeled as one or the other. So you have to be a run specialist in order to do it. We earn the right to rush the passer by doing what? Striking blockers. They just happen to be the fresh ones that go in on 3rd down, and they're athletic, and he's a really athletic quarterback. So we felt like we needed more athletes on the field. You got to be careful with a quarterback like that because they can also run it on 3rd down and then go for it on 4th. So it's a cat and mouse game of how to play those guys.
With how tough Dejan runs, how much of that has developed since he's gotten on campus, and what do you can attribute to that?
Well, I'd love to take credit for it. Dale would love to take credit for it, but I watched him at Moultrie, and he was the same way. Part of the reason we took him was because of his toughness. And everybody in the town said, you give the ball to the guy, the 30th carry, he's better than the first. And he's not real big, but he's real tough, and he's hard to tackle. And I mean, I'm sure Dale put a little of that in him, but he came with a lot of it.
I feel like you're most frustrated with Stetson on the overthrow to the lad. What did you?
I mean, I was frustrated on any of them, right? We had Brock on one and Ladd on one, and then they brought a field pressure where he had Oscar late, you know, and he was a little high on it. And Stetson will be the first to tell you he missed those. You know, we got to get rhythm, and we got to help him. We got to be able to do those shot plays in practice, and you hit any one of those three, and all we're talking about is how explosive we were. We got to try to hit some of those.
What do you like out of your offensive line today?
I like their tenacity. I like the fact that they came out and tried to be physical and create a demeanor. And we didn't do it every play, and you're not going to do it every play. You know, they got guys on scholarship over there too. But I like the fact that they come out and compete.
Cedric said that they took a little bit of the criticism personally in that offensive line room. How much did you see that this week in practice and today in their performance?
I'd have no idea because I don't know how they take criticism. You know what I mean? I don't go in there to criticize. I go in there to try to give them answers. You know, how do we do it better? I don't know that criticism helps. You know, it makes you maybe want it more, and there's a pride factor, and everybody needs some kind of motivation. But when you need motivation from you guys, then that's when it's not fun anymore.
We saw AD out there a little bit, just how
Yeah.
far along do you feel like he's going to be?
Really thought he was going to be able to go. You know, he ironically he had a thumb sprain in the week because we were using him, and he fell down, had a thumb sprain, and it became more the thumb sprain than the ankle. Now he did have a little bit of a limp, and as the game goes on, he got to the point where if he's not in it and you're not using him, he gets cold. And we tried to keep him on a bike, tried to run him, but we thought that he could have gone had we needed him. We did end up getting out to a lead, and I guess he did play a couple snaps, but it was just we didn't get really use him like we normally would. We need him back.
In the fourth quarter, when you scored 21 points, is it more of an in-game adjustment or wearing Auburn down like you were talking about earlier?
Probably more the later. I mean, to be honest with you, I thought they were tired. They don't have a lot of depth. I mean, every team across the country right now is struggling with depth on the defensive lines. You just don't see a lot of size, and we're dealing with it too. So I thought that had a lot to do with it. I thought they got tired. I thought the tempo hurt them some.
Let's take two more questions.
You talked about how Branson earned his playing time in practice. Dalen Everett was the first corner to come off the bench. What did he do in practice in order to earn that third corner spot?
He's getting better. He's getting better. He, you know, we want to try to find ways to play him in the game. He keeps getting better. You know, I have to go back and watch the long touchdown catch. We had three guys miss tackles, just atrocious on the sideline, atrocious. And he was involved in that. I don't know who exactly missed it, but he keeps getting better. He works really hard, and he's very intelligent, and I'm excited about what he brings to the future being a true freshman. I feel like he's a sophomore because he was here in the spring, but he's not.
You're in Stetson's ear a lot when he comes off the field after drives. What kind of advice are you giving him? Is it specific play stuff, or is it overall motivation? And what's it like with two guys who are really competitive coming after, you know, after a drive? I'm sure that can be.
Sometimes it's just communicating information, you know. Sometimes it's, hey, what did you see there? What made you do that? And, you know, teams, we put a lot on Stetson. I keep telling y'all that. We ask a lot. If it's this, do this or this. And sometimes he may not see it like we saw it in the box. And we like to find out why, you know. And sometimes it takes discipline to execute and do it right. And he is a competitor. I think I have a great relationship with him. And he respects the fact that he knows I'm emotional and a competitor. And I saw that last week, you know, where it was like, hey, this guy drove down on two big drives and made a lot of throws and made a lot of plays when he had to. Thanks, guys.